Everyone, welcome to Genius Tech. My name is Stevie. I want to use this medium to appreciate those that already subscribed to my YouTube channel. I'm so grateful. And then if you have not yet subscribed to my channel, kindly use this opportunity to hit the subscribe button. And don't forget as well to turn on your notification button so that anytime I post interesting videos like this, you'll be the first person to get the notification. So before we go into today's tutorial, I want to use the opportunity to say that if you want to listen to my weekly podcast, so there is a link in the description. You just need to subscribe. It's free of charge. So that's where you really want to advance your tech career. You know, not about coding alone. In any aspect of tech you want to go into, what I do is that I dish out interesting content, right? Interesting guidelines from my own experience, right? So just the link is going to be in the description. And then if you want to follow me on Twitter and Facebook as well, I also drop the link in the description. Okay, so in my last video, we started a tutorial. You know, I told us that we are starting a 30 reward project challenge, right? We are going to be building 30 different reward projects, right? So we can either use Python, Reactjs and Tailwind, and then Golang for any of those projects. So we started a project called Ewallet and Referral System. So I have dropped the demo, right? I have dropped the demo of what this project is all about. And then in my last video, we were able to connect to our database. We were able to do some things. So today, we need to start creating some endpoints, right? That's what we want to do today. So without any further ado, let's just get started. So now, inside our code here, so we need to create, inside our VS Code, we need to create a new folder called controller. Okay, that's the name of the folder. Don't forget that what we want to do now is that we want to start creating an endpoint where our users can sign up, right? We want users to be able to create an account. We want to create an authentication system for our application. So now, right here, now inside this controller, let's create a new file. So let's call this file user controller.go. So obviously the package is going to be controller, right? So here now, the first thing we need to do is that we want to validate, because if you come here, let's go to this users table here. Now look at the credentials we want to, these are the data we want our users to put in and save in our database. Their first name, we need their first name, last name, email, password, and every other details here. So we want to validate if this email is a correct email address first. So that's the first thing we need to do. So let's come to our user controller here. So let's just quickly create a function, right, that can validate if the email address is a correct email address format. Okay, so I'm going to say function, let's call it validate, the name of the function now. Let's call it validate email, right? So it's going to take a string, an email, which is going to be a string, right? And then it's going to return either true or false. Okay, it's going to return a boolean, right? So if it's a correct email, it's going to tell us true. If it's not a correct email, we're going to get false. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to be using regex here. Okay, so I'm going to say re, right? Re is equals to regex. Okay, we need to import this, right? So I'm going to say regex regex dot must compile. Okay, so we need to put in some regex expression here, right? So I already have it somewhere. Let me see, I already have it somewhere here. Okay, yeah, so this is regex expression that we want to use. So let's come back into VS Code here. All right, so we just need to paste this here. All right, so this is the regex expression that we want to use to help us validate if the user inputs a correct email address. So then, having done that, so what we just need to do, we just need to return if we're going to say return, let's say return, okay, return re dot must okay, match string. Okay, I think that should be, yeah, match string. So we're going to pass the email here. So what we're trying to do is that, you know, we are trying to validate if the email is a correct email. We are using this regex expression. If it's a correct email address, we are going to get true. So you can see when I hover on this match string, so it's returning a boolean, right, a boolean for us, either it's true or false. So if it's a correct email, we're going to get true. If not, you're going to get false. So we've been able to do this. So the next thing we want to do again is that now let's create a function that will help us to undo the user's register. Let's call it register user. Okay, so this guy is going to take C, point it to fiber dot context, right? So and then we are going to say error here, return error. So the first thing we now need to do again is that now we need to create a struct, right? This struct is going to represent the payload, what we're expecting from the front end. So we're going to say that type user payload, okay? So which is going to be a struct. So here, so for the sake of time, let's just come into our user here. Let's copy from here, right, down to this place. So let's come here and paste. Okay, so we are expecting the first name, last name, email, password. Password should be a string, should be a type string, because we're expecting it to be a string. And then let's put password there. Okay, so yeah, having done that, what we just need to do, I'm going to say variable user request. Let's say user request. I hope I'm correct. User request data. Okay, so I'm going to say that user request data is user payload here. So we are creating a variable trying to store this our struct inside this user request data. So what do we need to do? So the next thing we now need to do at this point is that we're going to say that if error, we need to pass the body, right? I'm going to say if error, then it's equals to c.bodyParser, and then we put our user request data here, right? So then if error is equals to none now, if error is not equals to none, so we need to return an error, right? So if we are unable to pass this particular body now, this data we are trying to request, so if there's an error, we want to throw an error, right? So we are just going to return an error. Let's say c.status, let's call it bad request, should be 400. Come on, c.status should be 400, which is bad request. So we need to return an error to the front end. So I'm going to say return, okay, c.json, okay, is this c.json, right? So yeah, c.json, then we need to open a bracket here. We're going to say fiber.map, okay? So fiber.map, and then we put in our message here. So message is going to be error, unable to pass the body, right? So let's just put it there. So you can use a proper error message. This is what I can just come up with right now. Okay, so then after we've done this now, the next we need to do now, we want to check the password length. So once we're able to pass the body, if everything works fine, we should be able to have access to all the records, right, that we are getting from the front end that the user imputed, right? Okay, so the next thing we need to do now is that we want to check the password length. Check password length. Okay, check password length. So yeah, so that's the next thing we need to do. Then we need to come here. We're going to say if, let me give a space there. Okay, let me try to say so that it can format properly. Okay, so I'm going to say if, right, you are going to say if length, then the password length now, you're going to say password user, okay, user request dot password is lesser than 6. Okay, so if it is lesser than 6, yeah, so if it is lesser or equals to 6, so we want to tell them that we want to return a response to the front end that this password must be greater than 6 character. So what we just need to do again is that let's just copy this guy here. So for the sake of time, we need to return this error. So the message is going to be password must be greater than 6 character. Okay, So yeah, we'll be able to do this now. So the next thing we now want to do again is that, don't forget that we created a function here. Okay, let me just put this at the top so that for us to properly arrange our code. So let me put this at the top and save this here. So then we need to come down here. So the next thing we need to do now is that this particular validate email, we want to use it to validate our email, right? So I'm going to come here and say validate email address. So that's the next thing we need to do here. So we want to validate the email address. Okay. So the next thing we need to do now is we want to validate if the email is a correct email. So what we just need to do, we're going to come here, if validates, that is, if it's not a correct email, we're going to pass a user request data.email. Okay. So that is, if it's not a valid email address, what should we do? So we need to return the response again and just say that invalid email address. So let's come here, just say invalid email address. Okay, so those are the checks we need to do. So then the next thing we now need to do again is that we want to check if this email already exists in our database, right? So let's come here, check if email exists in our database. Okay, so that's the next check we want to do. So we want to check if the email exists in our database. So what do we need to do now? We need to come here and say database, okay, .db, okay, .connection, sorry, it should be .where, sorry, it should be .where. Okay, we want to check .where email is equals to this guy. Then we need to say user request. We need to check if that email already exists. Then we'll say find. Okay, so we say find. Then we want to check, right, if this email already exists. So, but before we do that, so under here we need to create a variable here. We say user. Let's call this guy user data. So we're going to say model dot user models. Okay, yeah, dot user here. So now this, we want to check if this email already exists in our database. So we just pick this user data here, and then we say user data here. So we are trying to confirm if that email already exists. So if it exists, it's going to return the exact user ID back to us. But if it doesn't exist, the user ID is going to be none. Okay, so that is enough for us to check. So I'm going to say if the user ID now, right, is not equals to none. So I'm going to say if user data dot id, okay, is not equals to UUID, right? Don't forget that we're using UUID to generate our ID, UUID.new. So we are going to say that email address has been taken. So that should be the error message. We're going to say email address has been taken. Okay, so we're going to say email address has been taken. Then the next thing we now need to do now is that we need to create we need to check. You know, don't forget that we are building a referral and Ewallet system. So the idea is that if anybody use at the point of sign up, right, if anybody use a referral code, we need to credit the wallet of the owner of that referral code. So I don't know if that makes sense, right? So that's what we're just trying to build. So if anybody use the referral code, right, when signing up, we need to credit the wallet of the person that owns that referral code. So here now we need to check if a referral code was used. Okay, so now here let's say check if the sign up user used a referral code. Okay, so that's the next thing we want to do now. So now how are we going to achieve this? So we are going to say that we need to check, right, if that the referred by, I mean the referral code, right, if that referral code is not empty. All right, don't forget that here. So this is where we are expecting the user to put the referral code to. Okay, so this is where we are expecting the users to put the referred by here, right? That should be the referral code. I think the naming here is not really correct. So let's come here. Let me just remove this referred number here. So this guy should be the referred number, just to avoid confusion. Okay, the referred number. So we just need to come down here, right, and say that if, okay, we need to check the length. Sorry. So if the length of user request data dot referred number, right, if it's not equals to zero, right. So let's say if length dot this guy is not equals to zero, so definitely it shows that a referral code is being used. So if this particular referred number here, right, if it's not empty, that is, if it's not equals to zero, it means it's not empty. Okay, so or better still, we can even say that if it's not equals to empty, the length is not equals to zero, so we can definitely check what we want to do here now. So the first check we need to perform is that we first need to know even if this referral code exists in our database. So that's it. So anybody can just come and put a kind of an invalid referral code and put it there and say they want to use it. So we need to check. So how do we check this? So let's come here. So let's say check if the referred, okay, so let's say the referred number or the referral code exists in our database. Okay, so we need to check it. So now how do we check that? We're just going to say database dot db, okay, dot where referral, that's the name of the column in our db, referral code is equals to this guy. Then we come here, we say that user request data dot referred numbered, okay, dot find we're going to say user data here. So what we're trying to do here is that we want to check, right, since we already checked, okay, if this guy is not empty, right, if the length is not zero, then definitely the user puts in a referral code there. Okay, so now we are not checking here, right, we are not trying to check if that referral code really exists in our database. So here what we just need to do again is that just something similar to what we did here. Where is the guy? So when we are trying to check if the email exists, so it's just similar to, so we need to come here, let's copy this guy here and then let's paste this here. So but this time around it's going to be a different error message. I'm going to say invalid referral code. Okay, so now if that referral code is valid, so what should we now do? All right, so if that referral code is valid, so what should we do? So what we need to do, I'm going to say, we're going to come here and say that we need to say that database, right? So we need to find, we need to get the user's wallet first, the owner of this referral code. So we need to get the user's wallet first. And how are we going to do this? So I'm going to say variable now, wallets, let's call it wallet data, then models. Don't forget I already created a wallet table. Have we done that? No, we've not created a wallet table. So let's just quickly do that. Let's create a wallet table. So let's come inside our model here. Let's say new file. Let's call this guy wallets.go. Okay. So here we need to, let's just see what we can quickly copy here. First thing, let's say package models. So we need to create a type called, let's call it wallets, then the struct. Okay. So here, let's come here. We need to copy all of these guys here down to this place. And then, okay, so let's quickly import this. And then let's import time. Okay, so having done that, so the next thing we need to do is that let's quickly come here. Let's copy this, the way we are auto-generating our ID. We want to do the same thing. So we want to use your ID. So here, we change this user to wallet. Then we import this gun here. So what are the things we need in our wallet? We need the user ID. So we want to know the owner of this wallet. Okay, so which is user, the type is UUID. Come on, the UUID.UUID. So we have our JSON here. Let's call it user ID. Then we need the let's say wallet balance. wallet balance. Okay, so which is going to be of type int. Then come here, say wallet balance. Okay, so which other thing do we need? We need the wallet balance, we need the user ID, then we need this guy here. So I don't think there's any other thing we need apart from this wallet balance here. So now, having done this, don't forget that we need to go into our database package here. Okay, so we need to do migrate. So anytime we want to run our application, the wallet table is going to be created, right? So that's what we're trying to do here. Since we already created this user, we can comment this out, right? So, but don't forget that anytime you make any updates in this your user, let's say you add a new column, right? So you need to come here and uncomment this so that it's going to auto migrate anytime you run your server. Okay, so since we've been able to create our wallet table now, what is the next thing we need to do? We need to come here and say variable wallet data, so models dot wallet. So we need to come here and say database dot db dot connection dot where. Okay, so dot where. So what do we need to check now? We want to check the user ID, right? We're going to say where the user ID underscore ID is equals to ID. Then we're going to say user data dot ID. Okay, so I'm going to say find wallet. So we are trying to check, we are trying to get access to the owner of this referral code. That's all we are trying to do here. Okay, so we are trying to get access to the user's wallet, the owner of this referral code. So now, since we've been able to have access to this user referral code, to this wallet now, so what is the next thing we need to do? So we now need to update this user's wallet. Okay, so that's the next thing we need to do. So we need to update this user's wallet. So we come down here, we're going to say database dot model. Okay, so and then we say that's wallet data. Okay, dot where, dot where. Okay, user ID is equals to this user data dot ID. Okay, then we need to update, right? We want to update the balance. So I'm going to say updates. So anytime anybody use someone's referral code, we want to update the account with $100. Okay, so that's what we are trying to do now. So anytime anybody, because don't forget what we are building is an e-wallet, right? And then a referral system. So if anybody use someone's referral code, we want to update the owner of that referral code with $100. Okay, so we just come here, we're going to say wallet underscore balance should be the name of the column. Okay, then we come here, we now say that wallet data dot balance dot wallet balance, okay, plus $100 here. So that's what we're just trying to do here. So anytime anybody use someone's referral code, we update that person's referral code, right? We update that person's wallet balance with $100. So that's all what we need to do there. So the next thing we now need to do again is that okay, so we now need to come down here. So having done this now, why are we still getting this? Okay, so we've been able to check this wallet now. So the next thing we now need to do now at this point is that we now need to create a referral code for this user that wants to sign up. Don't forget that this is a new user entirely, so I don't want you to get confused. All what we did from line 66 to line 81 is for the owner, is an already registered user that owns a referral code, right? That give this new user his own referral code to sign up with. So I don't want you to get confused now. So but this particular new user, we need to create a referral code for this user so that he can also give someone else that wants to register with his own referral code. Okay, so now we need to create a function that can help us to generate a random string. Okay, so let's just come up here. Okay, so we say func, and then let's name this function a random string. Okay, so which is going to take an n, which is going to be an integer. That is the number of string right, that we want to generate. So here we return an error, and then let's return this actual string, that is the actual referral code now. Then here we have error, so in case there's an issue. So what do? We can say byte. Now we need to create this variable. So byte, let's say make right a byte here. So let's say byte. Okay, so then we pass this n here. So this n we are receiving from this place. So then the next thing we need to do again is that if there is an error, okay, so let's say if this guy, then here we put an error here. So don't forget that we don't need this value here yet, this string. So we don't need it. That's why I'm using this underscore here. So we just want to check for error. So it's equals to random. So let's say random dot read. Okay, so this rand here is coming, we imported it from this crypto, right, for us to be able to generate random string. Okay, so we are going to say byte, okay, this is our byte variable here. So and then we'll come here, we're going to say error, if error is not equals to none, we need to return an error, right? So let's just say return, okay, then the error actually. So here now we now need to return the string itself. So I'm going to say return, okay, let's say ex here for encoding. Okay, so we're going to say dot what do we need to do? Encode to string, right? We need to encode to string these bytes that we make here, and that we already pass it to this rand here. You know, don't forget that this rand is coming from this crypto. So we need to pass it encode to string, right? And then we need to return nil for the error. Beautiful. This is all we need to do. Just this few line of code that we need to do for us to be able to generate a random string for our user. So then the next thing we now need to do, okay, is that we need to come down here now. So it's high time we start creating our users data. I'm going to say user is equals to so there's one more thing we need to do, right, inside our user.go here. So there's one more thing we need to do. So don't forget that we want to be able to we want to encrypt the user's password. Okay, so that's what we want to do now. We want to encrypt the user's password. So we need to come into this user here, right, for us to be able to do that. So what do we need to do? We need to come down here. Okay, let's do it here. Okay, we're going to say function here now, func here. So we pass in user, then let's point to user. So we want to encrypt the user's password now. So we're going to say set password. Okay, set password. Then we put this password. Okay, this is a password, is going to be a string, right? Okay, so this is the name of the function we want to create, this set password here. So we're going to say hashed. So don't forget we want to encrypt the password. So let's say hashed password. Then we put in this underscore here. Then it goes to this bcrypt. We want to use bcrypt. Okay, so bcrypt dot generates from password. So we pass in byte here, bytes, and then what do we need to do then? The password. So we are converting the password to bytes, right? Then the length should be 14. Okay, so what do we need to do? We need to say user.password. Okay, user.password is equals to the hashed password. So what we're just trying to do here is that we are trying to encrypt the user password. So that's the thing we are trying to do here. So then don't forget that at the point of login, we still need to compare if the password we save, the encrypted password matches the password that the user is trying to log in with. So let's quickly create that function. So I will not be able to come back here. So I'm going to say func here. So just the same thing, we are going to say user here. So we need to point to user. We need to point to user, and then the name of the function, let's call it compare password. Okay, compare password. So this time around, it's going to take a password, which is going to be a string. It's going to be a string at this point. So and then we're going to say error here. It's going to return an error in case there's an issue. So I'm going to say return bcrypt compare yes hash password. Then we say user.password. Then so don't forget that the password, we need to convert it to a byte, right? So we say password. So that's all we need to do. So we need to, what we are doing here, okay, we are encrypting. Then what we are trying to do is that at the point of login, we need to compare if the password, which is a string, the user input, matches what we have in our database. All right. So now let's go back to this where we want to create our users record at this point. So we just come and say models.user. Okay, model.user. So at this point, we are going to say first name. Okay, first name is first name. We're going to say that user request dot first name. Then here we say last name. Come on, we say last name. So we're going to say user request data dot last name. Okay, so here we say email. I'm going to say user request dot email. So what's the next thing we need to check? The referral code now this time around. So we need to, don't forget that we need to generate a referral code here. So let's just come here. Let's put the comments here. Initiate, or let's say initiate referral code generator. So here we just need to say value, right? Don't forget that this guy, this particular function that is returning, that is creating this random referral code for us, right, is returning two things, string and error. Okay, so we don't actually need to check for that error. Let's just check for it. So I'm going to say error. So then we're just going to say that random string. So what should be the length? Let's say the length should be 7. Okay, so now let's check for this error. I'm going to say if error is not equal to null, we returned the let's just log the error. Okay, let's just log .print error. Okay, so here now we now need to put the value here. Okay, so we now need to put the value, this value here. Don't forget that is a random string, so the referral code is what we are putting here. So then we now need to say that referred by, we need the referred number. Okay, or should be, let's say the referred by now. Okay, the referred by should be the user's referral code. Okay, so I'm going to say that the user request data dot referred number. Okay, so that is the person that referred this particular user. So don't forget that there's still one more thing we need to do. That is the password. So I'm going to say user here now. Okay, user dot password. Okay, so we need to save this guy to be, okay, let's say user dot set password. So what's going to be the password? User request dot password. Okay, so user request dot password. Then the next thing we now need to do is that, so what we are trying to do here is that, don't forget that we created this function here, this user password here. All right, it's taking in the password, and then we are now saving this user.password to this hashed password at this level. So that is why we are not putting the password here in any of these places we are trying to set the values, right, into our database. Okay, because we've already done that inside this our user here. Okay, so now the next thing we now need to do, we now need to create this table. So what do we do? So let's say results. Let's put the comment here. It's always good to use comments. Okay, so let's say create users record. So here we are now going to say that results. Okay, result is equals to database.db.create. We pass in the user here. So let's now check if there's, in case there is an issue trying to create this record. We're going to say that if results, if results dot error, okay, is not equals to none. It's not equals to none. So what do? We need to return a response. This time around it's going to be an internal server error. Okay, so we just need to change this guy to 500. Let's say error saving users record. Error saving users record. So but if everything went well, okay, so we need to return a success response back to the front end. So you are going to say c.status, which is going to be 200. So which is going to be 200. So we're going to say that we want to return a response. So let's come here and then return the response saying that record account created successfully. Okay, account created successfully. Yeah, so we've been able to create our users record here. So we have been able to create our users record here. So the next thing we need to do, right? So yeah, we've been able to create our users record here. So I'm thinking, should I continue or pause the video? So that's why I'm taking my time. Maybe I should continue in my next video on how you can create a login endpoint, or I should do it now. So but let's just come here. Let's come into our route here. Let's come into our route here. Where is the route? Have we created a route? Not yet. We've not created a route. So we need to do that. We need to create a route here now. So what do? Let's quickly create a new file. So let's call it, okay, let's create a new folder, right? So let's call it route, because that's where we need to create our routes. And here, let's quickly do routes.go. Obviously, the package is going to be routes. So here we just need to say function setup routes. Okay, setup routes. This guy should be. So we are trying to use common case. Okay, setup routes. Then it's going to take in app, right? Then pointing to fiber.app. Fiber.app. Okay. So here now, what do we need to do? We now need to say app. Okay, app. We want to create our route now. So we're going to say app.post. Okay. So what's going to be the URL, right? The API now /register. So then don't forget that we are using a controller. So it's going to be controller.register user. So yeah, this is all what we need to do. So we've been able to create our registered user endpoint. So let's see if everything is working fine, right? Let's quickly test. So I think the video is getting too long. I'm just going to create the next login endpoint in my next video. So because we need to test what we've done and see if everything is working fine. So now let's come into our terminal here quickly. So we need to, let me clear this guy here, and then let me say we need to sit into our e-wallet backend. So let's say, let me use node more, right, to start. So if you want to use this node more, you just need to install it, npm install. You must have node installed on your computer. So what this node more does is that instead of me to come in to kill my server all the time anytime I make a change, so this node more is just going to help me to start all over automatically, right? So that's what I'm trying to do here. So let me show you now. So let's come back into our code here, e-wallet. Okay, so let's say I make a kind of change here. So let's go back to the terminal. You see what happens? Okay, it helps us to, auto start the server. So that's why I'm using this node more here. So you said our database connected successfully, everything is fine. So now let's go and test this our endpoint. Let's come here. I'm going to be using what is called Thunder Client here. It's an extension in VS Code. You can just install it. So let me come and make a new request. So this time around, we are going to be saying HTTP. It's going to be localhost. We are running on localhost 7000. That's the port. So and then the name of this endpoint is register. Okay. So don't forget it's a post request. Then we come to our body here, which is a JSON here. So the first thing we need to do. So for the sake of time, right? I'll just come here and then copy from here all of these guys here. then I'll come into this place, paste. Okay, so I'm just going to remove all of this unnecessary thing here for our JSON. Okay, so we need to set this, so put a comma here. We need to set this, put a comma here. So here we need the email as well. We need the password, which is going to be password. Okay, don't worry, everything's going to make sense very soon. So you need the password there. Then the referral number here now. So come here. Okay, we need to put this here. Okay, so let's do this. We need a comma here. We need a comma here. So let's format so that everything is going to make sense. So this time around now, so we have our first name, last name, email, password, and then a referred number. So here our first name, let's say Steven. Okay, then our last name is Doe. Okay, so the email now, this time around, let's just say Steven. Let's use a bad email. Let's just say Steven alone here. So for our email, so the password, so let's just say 1 2 3 4 5 6 7. Okay, 6 7. So the referred number is going to be empty because we don't have a referral code yet. This is the first user, so we don't have a referral code yet. So yeah, having done that, so let's click on send and see. Okay, cannot post API /register not found. So what are we missing? So let's go back. Okay, yeah, so we still need to call. Oh, sorry for that. So we need to come into our main, right? We need to come into our main. So below here we need to do something, right? We need to call that routes.setup routes. Then we need to pass in app here. Okay, so that's what we need to do. So we need to call this route here .setup.route here. So then here now, let's try it again this time around. So you see we get invalid email address, which is absolutely correct because the email we specify here is not a valid email format. So let's now say at gmail.com, and then let's make this password to be 5, and then let's send. You see we get a response that password must be greater than 6 characters. So this time around, let's use a wrong referred number here. Let's just put a random number here and click on send. Oh, it goes through. It says account created successfully. Meanwhile, this referred number here is not in our database. So let's check what is going on inside our user here. So what are we expecting? Referred number. So what do we do here? Where we are trying to check if it is empty. Where are we doing that? Okay, here at this point. So we say if dot length. Okay, let's try and remove this dot length here, and then let's do something. Let's say if it's not equals to empty string, right? It's not equals to empty string. So let's go back here and click on send. Email address has been taken. That is valid. So let's just add one here. So let's click on send again. Account created successfully. No. Something is wrong. Something is wrong. Something is wrong. So let's debug together. So it's part of learning. So this referred number is what we are trying to do here. We are saying that if user request dot referred number is not equals to empty, then we check the referral code. So I hope this is correct. This referral code. Let's check the database. Let's check the name of that column. Okay, it's referral code, which is absolutely correct. So referral code. Let's come back here and see what we are doing wrong. Okay, so this guy is called empty. Then if is not, oh sorry, this guy should be if it's cost to. Yes, I think the correct something should be that if the user ID is none, right? If it is nothing, then it shows that it's an invalid referral code. So apology for that. So this is where we mix it, right? So if that referral code doesn't exist in our database, it's going to be none, right? So let's go and check again now. So we come back here and let's click on send. Email address has been taken, that is valid. So let's add to here. You see invalid referral code. So let's come into our DB here and let's check for an appropriate referral code now. So we don't need to refresh this guy, our database here. So you can see that all the record we created the other time is already here. So we have Steven 1. So this time around we have this referral code is too long, right? This referral code is too long. So what should we do? So let's come here and then let's shorten it. Okay, I think this is the right place. Okay, so where are we creating that? Let's change it to just 3. Let's make it to be 3. 7 is too long. So let's try to create another user now this time around. So let's create a new request and then let's give this guy 3. This referral code, let's make it referred number. Okay, so at this point, then I think I'm mixing something here. We're going to referral by, which is correct. Okay, so let's click on send. Account created successfully, which is fine. So yeah, let's try to refresh. Let's try to refresh and then let's view it again. Okay, so we have our record here. So this time around we have a very short, which absolutely makes sense. So now let's try to use this referral. Don't forget that in our wallet here, let's check, we should already have a wallet table created here. Let's see. Okay, so by now we should have a wallet table created. So let me try to refresh this table. So yeah, we have the wallet table created here as well. So then let's come here to check this guy here now. Nothing is here. The wallet is empty. Okay, yes, we need to create, oh sorry, so we need to create a user's wallet. Okay, by the time at the point of when we are creating a user, we need to create a wallet for that user immediately, in which we are not doing that. So now for this particular place here, let's just quickly come here and do that. At those points, we just need to, after we might have created this user's wallet, this user's account, so we need to create a wallet for them as well. So just quickly do that. We're going to say wallet. Okay, it's going to be model.wallet. Then at this point, we're going to say the wallet balance should be 0. Okay, then the user ID should be user.id. Then we'll come here, we're going to say that let's quickly do a check here as well. So if there is an error here for the wallet, so if there's an error here, we're going to say error unable to create user's wallet. Error unable to create users wallet. Okay, so I just want to ensure that everything is okay. So okay, so once we've done that, let's go back to create a new user account now. So this time around, let's use Steven 4. Then this time around, let's use another name for this guy. Let's say Steven Philip. Okay, so instead of using Steven, let's say John Philip. Okay, so then let's create a new account. Okay, beautiful. Account created successfully. So let's come back to the database here and then let's see if we are going to get a record for that user here. Beautiful. So we are able to get a record. This is the user ID. So you can see by the time you come back to your user here, okay, you should be able to find, you see that the user ID is the same thing with user ID. You see this is the record here, John Philip. So now let's now make use of John Philip referral code to create another user. So we want to see if John Philip is going to have something in his wallet. Okay, so we come here to, okay, sorry, that's the wrong repo there. So then let's come here and then use referred by here. Okay, so and then this time around, let's change the email to The name should be Gloria James. Okay, Gloria James. So this one I'm going to use Gloria at Gmail. Gloria at Gmail. So Gloria is using Stephen Phillips' referral number here. So let's go ahead and click on send. So account created successfully. So now let's check if something has been added to Philip's wallet. Okay, so let's come here and check if something has been added to Philip's wallet. So we come here, and then don't forget that this is Philip here, right? So once we see beautiful, we see that the wallet balance of Philip has increased. So the more users use Philip referral code, right, the more his wallet balance is going to increase. So this shows that everything works perfectly the way it's supposed to work. So now let's just quickly do a recap. This video is absolutely long, beyond what I planned for. So okay, so what we've done today, just a brief recap quickly. So we've been able to create an endpoint, right, to create our users' accounts. Okay, so the first thing we did was that we created this struct, what we're expecting from the front end. All right, the payload we're expecting, and then here we create a function that validates the email, if it's a good email, right, if they're in a good format, right. Then here we created a random string that we're supposed to generate a referral code. So now this is where the whole thing happens. So we do a body parser here to pass what we're expecting, the data. Then here we check the password length. Here we validate the email. Then we check if the email already exists in our database. And then here, if the user use a referral number, what should we do? What we do was that we check if the referral code exists. If it exists, then we go ahead to add $100 to the user's wallet. And then here we created the user's account, right? We are also adding the password here. Then here, once the user's account is created, we need to create the wallet, right? So once everything is okay, we get this response that account created successfully. So in my next video, we are going to be looking at how we can create the login. Then we are going to make use of JWT token. We'll save it into the user's browser cookie to authenticate them every time they want to call the endpoint. And then we look at how we can create a middleware as well. So these are the things we are going to be looking at in my next video. So guys, if you are watching this, if you really enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. And then if you're having any challenge, kindly drop it in the comment section. If you're having a question, I'm always there to answer. And then don't forget, as I've said earlier before I start this video, if you want to follow my podcast, I have already dropped the link, right? And then I'm going to be dropping a Telegram group link as well. If you want to join, right, if you want to, there I'm going to be dropping my podcast every day and things that can help you to develop very well in your tech career. I'm going to be dropping it. It's just like a community, Telegram community, where we can rub minds together. So guys, thank you so much for taking your time to watch. See you guys in my next video. Bye for now.